There is no debate that being a parent is very challenging. Being a parent of teenage boys can be even more challenging. And having those boys raise up to be strong men is that much more difficult. But we can all agree that we need our sons to grow up to be stronger. And that's what today's episode is about. It's building stronger sons and 4 practices that you can adopt. These are practices that I wish I would have implemented earlier when I was a father of 2 at 22. And I'm realizing now how critical these are. I've also been coaching football going on my 7th year, not only at high school level, but the junior varsity level and at U14 and U12 level. Seeing the kids come through those programs that are successful, and not just successful as in earning money or getting scholarships, that have well put together lives, that are contributing members of society, have left clues, not just from their practices, but how they've been raised. And that's what today's episode is about, is the practice I've seen come through and the essential things that you need to be doing to help raise strong sons. Number 1, physical strength. Physical strength is so critical. Not just strong, as in lifting weights in the gym, but overall physical fitness. The benefits we could talk about for hours and hours on end. I'm going to try to boil them down to a few. First off, we know that when you exercise regularly, it helps with your mental health. There's no debate about that. It helps with anxiety, depression, all these things. Very beneficial. When you're exercising regularly, when you're physically strong, whether it's mountain biking, you're running, playing soccer, playing sports in the gym, doing jiu-jitsu, it gives boys specifically a big level of confidence. And that is a huge component and a huge plus that they can get going into adulthood. Not only that, when they're physically strong, to get strong, you have to push yourself. So by doing this, you're teaching your children, you're teaching your sons that pushing themselves is a good thing. It also creates a lot of discipline. Discipline that, in my opinion, is a lost word on a lot of parents. And again, guilty as charged from when my kids were young, but that's something that I've adopted in the past 5 years and has made a massive difference in their lives. Not only that, when your kids are physically strong, they can handle pain. They can handle discomfort. They're able to handle the things that life throws at them. Because to say that they won't have those things or try to shield them from the things that happen in life, you're not helping them. So letting them take those things on by working their physical strength, by, like I said before, exercising in the gym, by doing body weight exercises, by pushing themselves physically with mountain biking or soccer or football or hockey. When they're physically strong like that, they get a huge boost of confidence, mental health issues decrease massively, and they learn discipline. These are all things that all boys out there need. There's no debate. Number 2, this one can be more challenging as a parent because you have to spend a lot of time implementing it. And it is ownership. Ownership is so critical. And the kids that I've seen come through the football programs that I've coached at, the ones that have ownership thrive. The ones that don't point the finger and blame other people thrive. The ones that take ownership of their money, of school, of their relationships, more importantly, of their mistakes, that own their mistakes, absolutely thrive. Because they're not worried about trying to point blame and realize that when they take ownership, they can grow from it. That is the biggest and probably one of the most underrated things on this list, is that ownership. I've seen it so many times as parents, and again, I've been there myself, that something happens to your kid and they act a certain way, or maybe you don't think the teacher's being fair to them in school, and you try to step in and save them, you're not helping. You're actually making it worse. You're letting them know, your kid know, your son, that mom and dad can step in and fix this and you can't. That's what you're teaching them. You're not teaching them to take on that challenge, to build some grit from it, to build some strength from it, to use your words, to vocalize, to talk, to try to communicate. When you teach them ownership, they become better humans. We adults become better humans when we adopt ownership. I always go back to relationships and building connections. It is so much easier when you adopt ownership. And more importantly, you build true connections when you adopt ownership. When you're trying to point the blame constantly, nothing good comes from it. Your relationships get broken, and you end up wondering why nobody wants to be with you, or why you have no good relationships of any kind. So ownership is such a key component, such an essential practice for building strong sons. It's tough to do. It's tough to, again, that's why it's a practice. It's tough to implement as a parent, but the more you do it, the more you make them own up to their mistakes and fix their mistakes and apologize to their sister or apologize to family members when they say something that they really shouldn't have, or own up to the mistakes of missing practices or school, the better humans they become, the stronger they become. Practice number 3. This one, I think I really like because it is broad, but I think anybody listening will understand, is the third one being productivity. Doing something productive with your time. I'm not saying boys can't have downtime. I'm not saying that they can't sometimes just sit and watch a movie, play a bit of video games. I get it. I played them. The reality is that video games are one of the most addicting things for boys. Studies show time and time again. They're so addicting and so socially acceptable that we just let it go, meh, that's okay. My suggestion is to take them away or minimize it completely. I've done this with my son, and any parent that I've talked to that's had kids come through the football programs that I coach that have been very successful and that are driven and have passion, they play very minimal video games. They're productive with their time. So whether that means you're productive in school, whether you have a job, maybe they're creating, maybe they're an artist creating music, they're doing something, whether it's fixing cars, maybe it's working on skills, doing something productive with their time, owning crafts, owning their skills, not just lying on the couch and sitting around all day playing video games or plugging into their headset and playing Fortnite for days on end. Being productive with their time will make a massive difference. I set the stage for my son this year, told him as soon as he's 13, I'm pushing him. I'm going to start pushing him to make your life uncomfortable. And we've had so much resistance. I've had a lot of resistance, but now we're finally getting past that point where he is much more productive. That initially getting him to work out was like pulling teeth. Doing a 30-minute workout was like pulling teeth. Well, now again, doing an hour workout, and he's okay with it. A few weeks ago, I told him we're going to do two workouts every day. It was like pulling teeth. He was upset. He was hurt. For whatever reason, he didn't like it because it's uncomfortable. And to be honest, for me, it was challenging as well. But letting him sit around and do nothing during summer break is not an option. Having him being productive, owning a craft, owning a skill. For him, it's football, it's strength, it's running, throwing a football, great. But now I'm lining up 2 hour workouts for him every day when he's here. And he's going through them without any complaints. And the crazy part is, he's getting a hell of a lot stronger, a hell of a lot faster, and becoming a more resilient human. Being productive with their time is so critical. Whether it's creating, whether they're out camping, whether they're out gardening. This one has such a broad range, but doing something productive with skills in some form. Not only that, when you start producing like that, studies show that when you are creating and doing, especially boys, their anxiety levels decrease, mental health issues decrease because they're being productive. They're using that energy that they have because their testosterone now is spiking and it's going through the roof, utilizing that energy, not just letting it fester and do nothing. It's powerful. They need to use it. They need to harness it into something good. Find that thing. Take the time. Ask them the questions. Push them. They need it. I was pushed. I needed it. Every kid that I've seen come through the programs that I coach that have been successful and doing really great things and are turned out to be just fantastic humans, more importantly, were pushed. Some of them were pushed by their parents. Some of them had it internally. Either way, they were pushed to do it. Number 4, this one really sinks deep into the masculine, and I think it is a key character trait of the masculine, and that is to protect. To protect runs so deep that not doing this, not teaching them this, is a disservice to everybody, especially women. Especially women. When you don't teach them to be a protector, to be protective, you are doing society a disservice. This can be broad as well, but protecting your family, protecting your friends, protecting your partners, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. Sometimes a good example is that stepping in to defend a friend when all your other friends may be picking on them or making fun of them, just stepping in and saying, no, this is not right. This is too far. Not saying kids can't have fun and jokes fly around, but when it pushes that edge of bullying, when it pushes that edge of harassment, and you can see somebody is defenseless to step in. To understand as well that sometimes to protect other people, you need to step back because you might be feeling anger, you might be feeling frustration, you might be feeling disappointment, rage, whatever it is. Sometimes you need to protect others from yourself and just step back, and that's okay. By telling them that, by letting them know that that's what you're doing. I care about you so much, and I'm so angry right now about the situation. I need to just step away. That's vocalizing, that's using your words, that's communicating, that's being responsible, and you're protecting those people you love from you lashing out if you don't have the control at that moment. I've done this with my kids specifically where I'm, for whatever is going on, have had certain fights with my daughter specifically where I'm so frustrated and starting to feel like just the anger and frustration build up that I've literally been like, I need to leave now because I'm going to say something or I'm going to do something I'm going to regret. So I'm stepping out of the situation. I love you too much to experience to have you go through that. I need to step away from it right now. On top of being protective, and I'm sure some people might say something different about this, but I truly believe that having a general sense of how to fight, because you don't ever want to, but it is there if you need to, whether that's through jiu-jitsu, whether that's through boxing, MMA, taekwondo. Like there's so many martial arts. These practices are so critical because when you dive into these practices, you learn what they're about. It's not about swinging fists and trying to inflict damage on people. It's about control. It's about utilizing those gifts, that energy that you have with control. It's about being able to have that weapon in you and understanding how to use it so well that you never have to use it. And then you never get in a place where you're so fearful and afraid that you start swinging and start doing something you're going to regret. A really powerful quote hit this point home on why boys need to be protective and specifically learn how to fight and be able to engage in something if they ever need to. Not that they go around doing, but if they need to, if it's absolutely necessary. Was that you're better off to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Let that sink in for a second. You're better off to be a warrior with your weapon in a garden, peaceful, than to be a gardener in a war when you have no skills and not know what to do. So that's the idea I'm trying to instill, is having those tools, very similar to a samurai, very, very similar, that you have this weapon, you have this strength, this power, this ability to protect that you never have to use. Because when you have that ability there, you're able to be calm and relaxed and communicate your way and discuss your way through most conflict. To recap, because I believe these are so important, and again, I know we can all agree that we need better men in today's society. We do. There's no debate. Let's start with building strong sons. So again, physical strength, absolutely massive. It brings confidence. It teaches discipline, mental health, helps them be able to stand discomfort and pain, be able to handle the things that life throws at them. Number 2 is ownership, extreme ownership. Not trying to blame others for things you do or situations going on. Not trying to point the finger at people. Own how you feel. Own your mistakes. This leads to better relationships and better connection. Number 3, productivity. Doing something useful with your time. Being creative. Honing in your skills. If you don't have skills, start developing some skills of some sort. Building things. Something. Whether it's a job or in school, whatever it is. Being productive with your time. Not letting them sit around day after day, do nothing. Week after week. Wasting time. Precious time that we never get back. Number 4, again, last to recap, is being protective. That is the duty, in my opinion, of the masculine, is to protect the ones around you, protect the ones that can't protect themselves, to fight for those people, to step in those situations where somebody can't step up for themselves, to be that person that can make a huge difference in somebody's life. Because we all know of situations where we wish we had somebody there to do that. Or better yet, maybe you've seen that in action. I'll give you a great example of a kid I coached 2 years ago. And this kid had all of these. He had all of these traits. Probably one of the absolute best humans I've ever coached. And an amazing athlete. And more importantly, an amazing person, and just had so much drive. And him and his friend, who also had most of these character traits, they were on the team, and they found out from somebody that one of the teammates that they knew of was getting bullied by somebody in class. And so they took it upon themselves, because nowadays teachers aren't allowed to say anything, or for whatever reason what goes on, they couldn't step in. And so these 2 players, these 2 student athletes, these 2 strong sons, strong, growing into men, went to this kid that was bullying these other players on the team and told the teacher they needed to talk to him, and pulled him out of class. Right to his face. They didn't hit him. They didn't curse at him. They just said, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to stop what you're doing, and you need to go apologize to this kid right now. And they walked him to the next classroom where that kid that was getting bullied was. And he made him apologize to that kid in front of everybody. Those are strong sons. Not willing to sit by while people are being assholes and people are bullying and picking on other people. Not coming back and swinging, and then it just turns into a fist fight. No, having enough strength, having enough presence, having enough ownership to step in and do what's right. That kid never picked on anybody after that. That's why we need strong sons. That's why we need practices like this. So if you're listening and you need some guidance, some help, maybe with your own life and building some practices like this, or maybe you have a son that you want to instill these, but you are working out of town. Sometimes you just don't have time, a single parent. I get it. It is not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But if you do need help, reach out. I'm here. This is what I do. This is what I love doing. Help raising strong men, strong boys, and turn them into men through coaching, through life coaching, through building habits and practices. So if that's you, you need help, please reach out. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel because it always helps it grow. And if there's a topic that you want to hear about and something that you feel passionate about that you need some guidance on, please comment below. Please reach out, message me, because I'd love to talk about it and give you some guidance. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.